Cool.
So are you recording? Good.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have everybody?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Okay, so let's get started.
Okay, so before you start, I think today's is very easy and short. So,
Mhm.
and next week we don't have a group discussion. Before I mute myself, any questions I can help with today about discussion or general?
I actually haven't shared the feedback from last week's group discussion, but I do have one question. For one of them, you put that one was a behavior one, and you mentioned that we should have put like heart rate and sweating. I wasn't sure if that was part of a physiological.
Yeah, could be. So to measure fear, there are, physiological things that you can measure. So I just gave you some examples.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
that's it.
Oh, okay, that was it.
So other questions about other things? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to mute myself and you can always reach me through email, okay?
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Sure. Get the start.
Okay, well, I feel like this was a pretty easy week,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys have the group discussion open?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's read through it. So for the first one, so although experiments typically manipulate some aspect of the environment to create different treatment conditions, it's also possible to manipulate characteristics of the participants. For example, they were talking about the participants feeling success or others feeling failure. And so our question was, suppose you're planning a research study where you have to manipulate the participants' mood. So we're supposed to do like a group of happy people and having them listen to like upbeat music, and a group of sad people listening to like funeral dirges. Um, so John, you had put for letter A. Do you want to kind of talk about it?
Yeah, that was mine. So yeah, it asked if that manipulation was like considered an ethical violation um with the principle of no harm. I mean, you can see my answer under there. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so let's just read. I can read through it.
Mm-hmm.
So John put, I believe that manipulating moods has the potential to be a violation of the principle of no harm, depending on the method used to manipulate the mood. In this particular instance, playing happy, upbeat music to one group and funeral dirges to the second is in no way inflicting severe pain or suffering to any of the participants. On the other hand, exposing participants to loud and intense music for long periods of time could easily be considered an ethical violation. I like that you added that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that was a good answer.
I feel like too there are like emotional considerations for that one, because let's say you have a participant listening to the funeral dirges who, just lost someone significant in their life, then I feel like possibly that could do psychological damage. But so I think that's something we would have to weed out, like in finding our participants, I'm guessing maybe,
Yeah.
and in creating that sample group, that would be something that we would need to know in order to figure out how this might affect them emotionally. But otherwise, yeah, it's not inflicting, severe emotional pain possibly, but like you said, not physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of like this gray area, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to answer them.
But I think too, like in order to like combat that, because we can't necessarily always weed that out, is just to make sure that part of our the debriefing has, you know, a section on there for them to be able to reach out for, you know, emotional support, or, you know, whether it's a 1-800 number to a hotline, or, you know, if it's some kind of campus psychological services or whatever.
That's a good one, actually. I should have brought that up for the third point on this one, like for the C bit. So is there anything like I should change about that one, or?
I just think to maybe add that possibly that there could be some emotional damage done, but then just saying that in order to combat that, you know, we would put that in the debriefing resources, you know.
I'll make a note of it on here.
I can change that one a bit too.
Versus or like 1-800 number. Okay. So the second one, would you tell your participants about the mood manipulation as part of the informed consent process before they begin the study? Why or why not? So I'm not sure who put this one on here, but there you guys had wrote down, although informing the participants about the mood manipulation could make the results of the study less genuine, it is a requirement according to the informed consent process, and it should be followed. If the study is deemed unethical, it could quickly lose credibility. I'm not sure who put that one in.
Yeah, that was me. I did A, B, and C on this one.
Oh,
I
did you?
did all of them. Oh wow.
Oh, thanks.
Okay,
I think for this specific one, I don't know if I would talk about like the purpose of the study. Just because they were talking about in the textbook how they can kind of see how it might affect the mood of, or like it might skew the results.
Yeah.
Depends on what we're measuring.
Would it be the same for this part, instead of telling them that their mood is going to be manipulated, to just tell them, for example, that we're conducting a study about how mood affects certain situations, and, you know, just telling them we're studying the effects of mood, and once, you know, the participants see that we're playing happy music, we're playing funerals, you know, funeral sounds, funeral music, things like that, they're kind of going to figure out, okay, well, this is what they're doing to put us in a happy mood, this is what they're doing to put us to make us sad. So what telling them that we're studying the effects of mood be the same as telling them that we're going to try to manipulate their mood?
I feel like, yeah, because I feel like then it puts them in the mindset of mood. So I feel like this would be one of those where we would use like the passive deception, where it's like we omit information or withhold information. And then, of course, we would debrief them on it. But in the informed consent, we would use passive deception so that they couldn't figure out, because I think it's a quick jump from mood to I'm playing happy music, you know, and as soon as we start the actual experiment, or if we're playing sad music. So I think if we use the word mood at all, then I feel like they'll go right to, oh, this is what they're trying to get at.
Yeah, so we wouldn't tell them then, right?
Right, because there's a part where we talked about in chapter 4 about passive deception, which is basically you're omitting things, or there's active deception where you're actually lying. I feel like active deception, the actual lying, there's probably a very, very thin line where that would be ethical, but the passive deception is more, it would be more acceptable. And especially if we outline that in the debriefing, that this is what we actually studied. And again, you know, adding, these are resources if this affected you, you know, in a negative way.
The debriefing is like just specifically at the end of the study, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the informed consent is before. So that's what that part was talking about there, you know, are ways to get around some things, because if you lay it all out, then they basically know what your study's about. And then, you know, like you said, how genuine are your results?
That sounds good. So I'll just make a note on that one about the passive deception, and just completely omitting what the study is about. So
yeah, I can go back and fix those up a little bit too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So for the third one, so assuming that you decided to use deception and not tell your participants, passive deception, that their moods are being manipulated, how would you justify this procedure to an IRB? What could you do to minimize the negative effects of manipulating people's moods, especially the negative mood group? So you put on there, I could justify the use of deception by claiming that informing the participants will yield a less genuine results, which we already talked about. Additionally, I could claim that I informed the participants that I will be attempting to alter their mood, but not explain what steps I will take to achieve this. If I didn't inform the participants about attempting to manipulate their mood before the study, I would inform them after. So that's also kind of something we had already mentioned too.
Yeah. I got to switch around a couple phrases and stuff.
Yeah. So what would be something that we can do to minimize its negative effects?
Yeah, I think we should talk about the debriefing. I feel like a large part of this is like, yeah, I guess like just the debriefing. It really depends on like how we even conducted the study, but I guess just the debriefing and like telling them like we specifically played this music to affect your mood, and then maybe hitting them with like resources and stuff. And
yeah, that sounds good. Maybe we'll be also able to kind of like alter their mood by playing happier music after.
I was thinking that.
True. That's a good idea.
Okay. So debriefing, different music.
And I'm thinking, because like even the professor said that this is kind of an easy week on questions, maybe like when we were talking about A, B, and C, we kind of maybe intermingled the answers. And so maybe the answers just need to be simpler for each one, because maybe we skipped ahead to, oh, we need to include this in the debriefing, and that's actually goes into C. And then B is where we're going to talk about the passive deception, and then, you know, instead of talking about each point in all three.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you could write a lot in there.
Yeah, I'll go back and trim those and stuff.
Oh, looks good either way. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe we'll get a 5 this week, a 5 out of 5.
I know. Oh, for the last week, you guys, we got 4.5 again. Just
nice.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still happy.
Yeah.
Maybe for the 5. Yeah, you're right. 5 out of 5 this week. Okay. Okay, so for number 2, so it talks about how the population consists of 4 individuals, A, B, and C, and D. So your job is just like a random simple sample. This one you did really fast, Karen, and Dan too. You guys did this one really fast.
Yeah,
like, I already like knew what it was asking. And I knew how to do it. It was just like I had to go back and read to like really understand what I was doing. Like I felt like I had seen it before and I understood, but I didn't know how to like explain it when we had our discussion. So that's what I was doing before the meeting. But basically, it's like it's simple sampling. So you have your entire sample and you assign them letters. So in this case, our sample only consists of 4. And so they are each is assigned a letter. So A, B, C, and D. Since mine is without replacement, that means that basically each time, let's say I had them in a hat, I had all 4 in a hat, and I was gonna withdraw 2 to find out a sample. So I pull out A, and then that A is now out. It's not going to go back in the pot. So the second one that I pull will have to be B, C, or D because A has already been chosen. And so it's just about putting them in order. So if you have A, then the accompanying one that you pull is either going to be B, C, or D. If you have B, then it's going to be A, C, or D because you can't have B a second time. You've already pulled it out. And so that's what it was. It's simple, just simple sampling by numbering or lettering all of your participants and then randomly drawing to see what you get.
That's good.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Dantu, you want to explain the next one?
Oh, yes. So for the next one, it is similar to A, in which I listed out from the beginning. So I start with A, and then I list out all of the 4 choices that go accordingly, like AA, AB, AC, AD. And then for B, I do the same for that set of B. And then 9 to 12, I do C. Starting with CC, ending with CD, and then for 13 through 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 13 to 16, I also do the same way, DD, DA, DB, DC. Yeah, it's just I picked it up quickly because I had a statistic course, and I remember studying this from my CSET exam too, so that was fairly simple for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So the only difference between Danthu's and mine was just that when she pulled from her hat, she pulled A, then she puts A back in the pot. So as you can see, you can get a set that includes that same participant more than once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it.
Nice.
And
Yeah, this was a pretty easy one.
yeah, week 3 is done.
And do you have any questions or anything? Or,
Not really. Do we have like a group project coming up?
No.
Not for a while?
I think it's just the article review. Wait.
Okay.
But those,
Yeah, critiquing the article.
yeah. But those are all
Trying to do.
individual, like, they
Oh,
have to be done together. There's not like a group project. Those are individuals. I mean, of course, we can work together to like, support each other doing it if we want to, but it's not like part of our group grade.
okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay. So is next Wednesday at 6:30 good for you guys to meet up?
Yep. Next Wednesday? Why are we skipping 1 week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't have a group assignment next week. We don't have a group discussion.
We still have a quiz though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so nothing for a week?
Well, we still have the quizzes every Sunday that are due, but we're
Okay.
just not doing the video chat.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's today is the 11th, so on the 25th.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
All right. So
All
I'll
right.
see you
Sounds good.
guys in 2 weeks. I'll send out the email again for the link for this. Or
Okay.
Awesome. And then can you
Perfect.
also send us the feedback for week 2? All right. Thanks.
for sure. I'll do that right now, actually.
Cool. See you
Right there.
all in 2 weeks.
Bye, guys.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.